All right, so I've got a couple requests recently on how to level a mower deck, which I think is a fantastic way to do a video. But the thing about it is I've always struggled with exactly how to explain how to level a deck without, you got the tractor and everything's really confusing. And then it dawned on me this afternoon as I was walking around the garage, I was like, and the 318 deck was just sitting out because I had the a pump on the 318, so I had the deck completely off. I was like, well, why don't I just do it without the deck, but set the deck up as it's on the tractor? So that's what I've done. So we're going to operate under the assumption so we have, in this case, we have the mule drive, or in the case, and I'll show you here in just a minute, on a case of a different model where you'd have the front draft arms, but that'll be the same as the mule drive. And then you have these draft arms right here, so 1, 2, and then you have the deck hangers. So the deck hangers, there's a solid hanger, and then there's one adjustable hanger. All right. So this is how it would sit on the tractor. You would basically what you would want to do is you would want to first level it from side to side. Now, leveling it from side to side, what you're going to want to do, hopefully I can show this to you relatively easily, is you see the blade right here. You'll want it basically turned straight out towards you, and you will want to measure the distance between the tip of the blade and the ground. I prefer to do this with the deck all the way up in the air. Makes it a little easier. Mostly because it's really hard to get this measurement over on the other side. Now, John Deere and a bunch of other companies actually make leveling gauges. They're, I don't know, like $4. They're pretty daggum cheap. So what you want to do is measure from here to here, and you want to do the same on the other side. And that will tell you how much you need to either drop or lift the adjustable side of the deck. So, like I said, on the older units, there is one solid lift draft link, or lift hanger, whatever you want to call it, and there's one that can be adjusted. So on the 318, this one can be adjusted. It has a bolt and a yoke and a clevis and everything else. So what you want to do is say this side is lower than the other side. You'll want to pull it. You want to tighten this bolt and then tighten the jam nut. You can see the jam nut right there. Mine's loose, but mine's also stripped a little bit and bent. So what you want to do is you want to tighten it up to shorten up the draft link, or the hanger, deck hanger length, and that will bring this side of the deck up. Now, after you've gotten done leveling your side to side, your deck's still on your tractor, then you'll want to level front to back, in which case you adjust the draft arm. Now, the draft arms on the mule drive in this case, you'll lengthen it to drop the front of the deck, and you'll shorten them to lift the front of the deck. Now, ideally, your deck, depending on what manual you read and what model you have, you'll have to look at the particular deck. You'll want your deck anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 inch lower in the front, and I'm not sure about some of the new models of larger decks. You'll have to look in the manuals. But what you want to do is you want to do a very similar thing to what you did over here. Instead, you want to turn the deck 90 degrees to where it is shooting straight front. I don't think you can see that based on the light, but you will want to do the same thing. You want to measure the height on either end of the blade to determine if it's front or back. Like I said, so if the back was, or if the front was 3 inches, you want the back to be 3 1/8. You basically want that 1/8 to 1/4 inch of dip to the front of the deck. And these procedures are not necessarily they're not specific to a 318, even though I'm using a 318 deck. They will be the same almost universally. The deck's going to attach more or less in 3 places. It's going to have front draft arms, some type of hanger, and then the newer decks have actually incorporated to where just the rear draft arms, they're actually inverted, and the hangers attached to the draft arms, and then the draft arm attached to pins on the deck, which I'll show my 7-iron deck here in just a minute and show you how the concept is the same. So after you've balanced, or after you've leveled the deck front to back, which you haven't leveled it, you've actually dropped the nose of the deck, which if you think about it, that's correct, because if the deck was completely level, the blades spinning around to the deck would basically, the physics of the blade, you wouldn't move the grass as efficiently. Because you want all the grass to come to the front of the deck, as seen here, and exit out the side. Well, if they're level, there's not going to be that wind, there's not going to be some of that generated wind flow, or at least that's my understanding of the physics of the mower blades. So, now that we've looked at the 318 deck, now let's go ahead and look at the 7-iron deck and see what is similar. Okay, to show that regardless of the model of deck you're looking at, the overall, I'll say, the overall procedures are going to be the same. So instead of the mule drive here, we just have the draft arms. The draft arms can be once again adjusted, so that's how you level the front to back of the deck. And then since I have the deck arms currently off on the X748, you can see that the deck arms, what they're going to do is they're going to slide into these points back here in the back, and then they're going to be hangers that attach to those right there. And on the X series, both hangers are adjustable. That may be the case, you know, in other models as well. I don't know off the top of my head. But that is basically how you level a deck, or the theory behind leveling a deck. You should never level a deck with the gauge wheels. Your gauge wheels should always be anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch off the ground, regardless of what you're doing. Your gauge wheels are just there to prevent scalping. So, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Hopefully this was descriptive. Next time I put the deck on the 318 or the deck on the X748, I'll try to get a video of actually adjusting everything. And what I'll try to do next is will get a picture or a short video of the hangers underneath the X748 if I can get enough light under there. Alright, so I want to go ahead and get a shot of, these are the hangers on the X700 series. They are both adjustable. In this particular case, I have the tiller arms on here. I haven't switched it back to the deck arms. That's why the deck arms are off that were in the previous section of the video. But these holders right here, those hangers are going to be the same. You can see the threaded portion up there towards the top. And that is going to be the same for the other side as well. So I'll take you over the other side, and you can see how, actually I don't think you need to see the other side, but anyway, hopefully that answers questions on deck leveling and is helpful. You know, once a deck is level, it should stay level, mostly because unless there are things that start to get worn, so like these pins right here will start to get worn, stuff like that. But for the most part, once a deck is level, it should stay level unless something comes untightened, loosens up, and starts to wear out or something along those lines. That will be what causes the deck to come out of level. So if you're having to level your deck every year, I would take a serious look at all of your deck components, etc. Check and make sure you're not bending something in the way you operate it or stuff like that. So anyway, hopefully this is an informative video. Like I said, leave some comments in the section if you have specific questions. But be sure to read your owner's manual to see how much dip you need in the front of the deck, stuff like that.